The Pies Nation podcast is proudly brought to you by Swish Personalised Videos, the platform connecting footy fans with their favourite players. So surprise a Collingwood fan in your life with a personalised video from so many stars, the perfect lead into Mother's Day, which is just around the corner, Marcus. And I think so many players you can choose from. I reckon plenty of our Collingwood mothers would be leaning towards a few of them.
I reckon DC's got the pick of my selection for Mother's Day, Nico. An absolute bargain, I hear.
Yeah, just $66, but you can get a discount thanks to Pies Nation. If you use the code Pies Nation, 10% off for all our listeners and viewers. So keep an eye out on our descriptions throughout our audio channels, but also on our YouTube. 10% off while using the code Pies Nation. So don't delay. Be quick to order. It's delivered straight to your phone or your device, and a perfect present for Mother's Day or any other event you've got coming up. Thanks to Swish. Hi all, Nicholas here from the Pies Nation podcast. A very special Pies Nation Thursday for you this time around as we chat to Rob from the Sash ahead of what is always a highly anticipated Anzac Day clash. Hope you enjoy.
Nice one. How are you, mate? You good?
I'm good. Footy is very good at the moment.
It must be nice. Are you guys top of the ladder?
Top of the ladder.
Wow.
Good to be back.
Yeah, you must have been, I guess it's weird cheering for Richmond, but you must have been pretty happy that Richmond rolled the Suns.
Well, I thought my tips were screwed anyway, regardless, so I was happy to see Richmond get up again. Second best win they've had this season, that's for sure.
I know, it's crazy.
Very happy to be back on top, and hopefully we can stay there for a little while.
Yeah. I wish I could say the same. I mean, we've got 3 wins, which is nice, and I'm pretty happy about that, but at least today, when we're recording this, I guess we're more sort of thinking about the players who have now done for the year. So there's a bit of a sour feeling around Essendon at the moment, which, look, I'm sure once we get another win on the board and some other players to step up, we'll feel a bit better. But yeah, it's a bit of a cloud overhanger. It does suck, and especially I'm sure most people tuning in are aware, but for the Collingwood people who aren't, Sam Draper's done his Achilles, will be done for the season. One, he's a very important player to the system, but I think he's also a big culture player. Every team's got the few guys who, obviously there's the captains and the leaders, but there's the people who everyone really gets around. They're fan favourites. And losing them, I think, does a lot. Fans are flat. Players are flat. Obviously, the guy himself is really down, and it's really hard to imagine the rest of the season without him because he is such an important figure.
Yep, and he was also a GDA cheat code with his snaps on goal. I don't think I've seen him miss once.
I think it was 7 in a row because he missed a couple of drop punts early on, and then he employed that. I think when he's about sort of 40, maybe 35 metres from goal, he's pretty confident doing it. And it hasn't missed.
Nuts.
And yeah, obviously we're going to miss him as a forward. We're going to miss him as a ruck. All the fans aren't going to see him there.
Is Nick Bryan long term? What's the plan?
ACL.
It's ACL.
So in 3 weeks, the Essendon faithful tuning in will know this, but so in 3 weeks we've lost 3 players to see year-long injuries. So Tom Edwards, who was the SSP forward we picked up, looked really good, kicked some goals. One of those players who comes in and physically didn't look like an AFL footballer, but effort and skills-wise, you go, oh, this guy's clearly got it. Would just need to be more athletic. Does his knee, ACL in training. Nick Bryan last week against Melbourne, real innocuous sort of thing where he sort of goes out in a ruck contest, lands, his knee kind of wobbles a little bit, and then he goes off. That's an ACL done for the season, and then Draper does his Achilles. So, we've gone from being one of the clubs who play 2 recognised ruckmen to having neither of them.
That sucks.
Which it sucks. Pre-season, I don't think many of us had Essendon playing finals, but something like this happening, you go, well, that's probably the end of that. I know we're probably sitting 9th or 10th on the ladder today. Yeah. But, yeah, you really look at the guys who can come in, the form of those guys who've now been injured, and you're like, where's it going to come from? It's hard to figure.
Well, I know one man.
You know one man.
Up to the plate.
Yeah. Old Gold.
Now, I saw your video.
Yeah, you like that?
Earlier in the week.
Yep.
I'm an Old Gold fan. Mm-hmm. I did not know that there was a peppermint. So that was news to me.
Neither did I. I mean, it's funny. I went in, I literally just I want to take this video, it'll be funny. again, for the Pies Nation audience, it's just me and Carl's just buying some old gold chocolate. And I grabbed the almond, that's my personal favourite. I grabbed the original, and then I just grabbed what was there, which was the peppermint.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me, just below was the rum and raisin. And apparently I've upset the rum and raisin fraternity. Some people were like calling me out, being like, that's their best chocolate, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't want raisins in my chocolate.
No.
If I want to eat some raisins, I'll go get some sultanas, which are basically the same thing anyway, and I'll have that. Yeah, I'll have a hot cross bun. I don't want raisins in my chocolate, thank you. So
I'm with you.
Yeah, almond, classic. Like, I haven't had that peppermint, but we might crack it open. There's a bar over here. We might crack it open later today.
That's my payment.
But yeah, no rum and raisin for me, thanks.
That's fine. No, peppermint's my favourite sweet chocolate in the world. So to see that linked.
Because some people hate that. Some people are like, it tastes like toothpaste.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not one of those people, but it's also not my, it's not my go-to, I would say. Like, I'm more of a savoury operator anyway.
Yeah, okay.
But like almond chocolate, that's usually the one I really get around.
Right. Okay. Peppermint first. Ice cream, chocolate, whatever the case.
Yeah, okay.
That's the way to my heart.
We're digressing here from the football.
All right. So Todd Goldstein.
Todd Goldstein, yeah.
I have to admit, I almost didn't know that he was still on your list until the last couple of days when he's been brought up in a lot of conversations. Is he someone that we can expect to... probably not have an immediate impact, but can he fill the hole for a little while at least?
Yeah, short term he can. It's funny, like, I think this is Essendon's way of kind of getting around the soft cap, because he is the ruck coach.
I thought so.
But he's on the playing list, and he's basically there in a break glass in case of emergency. And sadly, this is an emergency, and we've got to get him out there. He played VFL, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and he had like 25 touches and was like really good. But I wouldn't say he's match hardened.
Yeah.
I think what you can probably expect from him is that, look, one, he'll come in and compete. He's as crafty as any ruckman comes. So whether it's, Darcy Cameron or Mason Cox, if they're a little bit off, Goldie's, one of the all-time great ruckmans. He'll exploit that. I think where I worry is that when we're getting into, deep in the third, fourth quarter, is he still going to be able to compete? And I guess the other question for us is who's going to be the pinch hitter, because against West Coast, they kept Peter Wright forward, which is fair enough.
Makes sense.
I think he was on 5 or 6 goals at the time. And they brought in young Zach Reid, the fullback, who he's a tall, lanky fella, but he's had crazy injury issues over his 5 years he's been on the list. And like, you can't be doing that long term. It's like, here's a guy who's just gotten fit. Oh, let's throw him in the ruck. No. So it'll be interesting to see what we do.
Yeah.
Goldie will play. I guess, look, I expect Peter Wright to pinch here. That's my expectation. But I think Essendon might just have to become one of those sides this season who, like a lot of teams, just go, hey, look, we're not going to have a second ruck. We're going to bring in an extra mid at the centre bounce or at the stoppage and go, all right, we're going to lose the hit out, but we'll win the ball. We've never been a club who's done that, but that might be something we have to do this season.
Yeah, we've been in a similar position where a couple of years ago we had Grundy, Cameron and Cox all out of the side, and we went up to Brisbane. Now, short term, of course, unfortunately for you guys. It's
Did Cripps go in the ruck, or am I imagining that?
Crisp, I'm not sure. We had Ash Johnson.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
So it was Billy Frampton, Ash Johnson ruck duo, which was no wonder we lost that game.
Iconic.
So, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. It's a bit of a difficult one because I feel like clubs are starting to lean towards the 2 ruck system now in this day and age, and it's working to great success. I know we are.
Yeah.
Although I do like Darcy Cameron solo rucking as well.
Will Mason Cox play? Like, I know Darcy Cameron is probably number 1 right now, but is
tough.
Cox going to play?
Because we need to get Membry back in this side. We rested him against the Lions over the weekend, and I still think he's such a high IQ forward that he needs to be in this side. I mean, we brought him in for a reason. I felt like he's played his role pretty well. I'm not sure the weather on the Friday doesn't look promising for tall players, which might work out for Essendon's advantage. So I'm not sure if Coxie comes in. He's great structure-wise, but yeah, I don't know if we fit him in if we have to get Membry back.
So if he doesn't play, then it's Membry, Myercheck, and who's the others? McStay.
Yeah.
McStay, yeah. He's the one who played a good game on the weekend. So, and then does that mean a McStay pinch hits, or who comes in when Cameron rests?
Yeah, that would probably be the way we go.
Right.
I don't see Frampton moving up and playing that role, although he has done that before. McStay, the first few rounds of the season, it was Cameron 95%. McStay coming into pinch hit, and that's when we had Membury and Mychek in that forward line, which allowed us to sort of free them up a little bit. So I don't mind that. The less I see McStay in the ruck, the better, to be honest. I would rather Cameron go in and do the work because he's playing some unbelievable footy right now, and would love to see him continue to dominate. But we do, fortunately, have a few options up our sleeve should we choose. But I mean, with Coxie's case, he only came in on Thursday because Lockie Sullivan was late out. He wasn't tasked to play anyway, so Coxie came in last minute to help fill that void.
Not really a like for like, Lockie Sullivan and Mason Cox.
Not quite. Well, I think it was
Sullivan,
Mason Cox, Tim Membry, and Oleg Markov were our emergencies that day. Right. So didn't have too many options anyway for a crafty little midfielder.
We'll again, look, for the listeners' sake, we're recording this on Monday morning.
Yes.
Will Darcy Moore play?
He will.
He will play.
Yeah, so
that looked awful. I was like, oh my God, that's a couple of weeks probably. But I guess he's got a strong head. My
first thought was Peter Wright's kicking 10.
Yeah, right.
On Anzac Day. And then, he passed his concussion test. They announced it that night that he had passed the HIA. Wow. He only got subbed out because he was just continuing to bleed from his ear. So
fair enough.
He was okay in the end, which is very fortunate for us because he's also someone that's been playing some great footy, back to his All-Australian best, I hope. But we're gonna need him on Friday. So no, he'll be playing Darcy. I think we're gonna have one of our best lineups of the season coming in.
Great.
Dan Houston will be back from suspension.
Dan Houston.
Yes.
He loves playing well against Essendon.
Oof, yeah, I know. Well, you wouldn't have liked the Jamie Elliott vision over the weekend because I reckon that goal against Essendon got played about 1,500 times for his 200th. Now you've got the Dan Houston against Essendon coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't watch a lot of your game on Thursday night. So luckily I didn't have to sit through the replays of that. But yeah, that's a worry. But DeGoey Schultz not playing.
Schultz won't play.
Yep.
It looks like he'll still be another week. DeGoey's and it's going to be a big discussion point on our podcast because I feel like if we rest him for a little while longer and get him 100% match fit, he'll be okay in the long run. But he's still so important to our system that I think we might lean towards just managing him between the forward and midfield throughout the year. I'm not sure.
Obviously you've got us Friday. Who's your rest of the month? Who else are you playing?
Cats at the G, and Freo in Perth,
and
both hard Adelaide games. At the G. We've had a very tough,
hard game.
Very tough start to the fixture.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, and I know the occasion often brings the best out of both these teams most of the time, but of those four teams, I would easily say that Essendon's the worst of those four.
Arguably, yeah.
Yeah, Freo. Look, if it was Freo and Melbourne, I'd say that's probably fine. But Freo and Perth, I think, is just a bigger challenge. And
I'm not sure about Adelaide, though. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they were good against the Giants on the weekend. True. But yeah, I'd like. I mean, look, I'd obviously love to go not to play this weekend because he's such a good player. But I don't know. I just think we really lack polish, Essendon.
Okay.
I find the thing that we've done well, at least in this past 3 rounds that we've played, is that the effort and intent is there till the end of the game.
Yep.
Even when we were down by 29 points to West Coast, despite how much my message groups are blowing up, I was like, I'm actually pretty calm about this. I've watched West Coast lead Brisbane and lose, be up against other teams and lose. I'm like, I'm okay. One thing I know we're doing really well now, and that's probably one of credits the fitness stuff and all that, and as well as the game plan is that we run the games out.
Yep.
Right, against Adelaide we got thrashed, but they still kept trying towards the end. Adelaide were just so good they're able to take the foot off the gas. But that's the thing that keeps me comfortable, knowing that, look, if it's a tight game and we're there in midway through the third or start of the fourth,
not going away.
We're not going to go away.
Yep.
But can we be good enough to bite off those really good kicks, get the really important marks around the ground, and then actually score? Because we've been in a few games, the Melbourne game in particular, even passages of the West Coast game, where it kind of turns into a bit of a rugby match because we're ferocious, but we can't get a really good ball out,
Yep.
but we'll prevent the other team from doing so. And it gets this really ugly kind of scrap, and you're like, is this good? But look, if we're not getting opened up, that's good. But
I think a good example of that from an Essendon point of view that I tried to compare it to was your round one game
yeah,
against Hawthorn. Yeah, 78 tackles you laid, 20 of them inside 50. Ferocious at the contest,
Yep.
intensity was high.
Just one bad
Great
quarter,
game all
yeah.
round, but 1 goal 8 from forward 50 chains
Yeah.
and 5 goals 10 from stoppages. So you had the opportunities, you just weren't able to convert. And
we got jumped in that first quarter.
well, of course, but add to the fact that you've got Anzac Day coming up and the intensity is always going to be high. It's no wonder those games are always so tight
Yeah,
against
definitely.
us because you always bring the pressure, and I think we do as well, and that's what we've prided ourselves on throughout the first month of the season. So I'm expecting a similar result if you guys convert your chances and take your opportunities, and I think we're going to be in for a bit of a slog.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I'm tipping Collingwood this week because look, you've shown the form, and look, if this game was played on paper, I think you easily win it, but it's not. But that being said, though, like as long as we're still in the game at half time and we don't get jumped early, I think we're right in the game. But it's just going to be really scrappy for us.
Wet weather's going to come. That's going to help.
Yeah, is it going to rain on the weekend?
It's, I think, 70-80% likelihood.
Great.
I'm no weatherman.
I don't think we're a very good wet weather team.
Yeah,
certainly.
but it might help raise that intensity, which could then in turn tire. I mean, I found out that on the weekend you were the second youngest team in the competition.
We're so young.
Yeah.
We're so young. I think it was the Adelaide game. I think we had 7 players under 25 games.
Whew.
There was one guy in the 20s,
Okay.
one guy in the teens, and then 6 of them were 10 games and under.
Wow.
So it was like Kako, Caddy, obviously that Tom Edwards was playing then. Nick Bryan was in the 25 games. Archie Roberts, I think, was only maybe at the time on 8 or 9 games.
Yep.
Sardis as well. He's not on the side right now. But that is the thing. We're an incredibly young side still. I mean, obviously this weekend the stat sheet's going to tip because we're going to put in a 36-year-old 300-gamer. But we're a young, experienced side, and we're in a position now where it's like, okay, we've got to get games into kids, help them develop, see who's actually worth sticking around with, and go from there. I'll shout out one player, and I think most of your audience probably wouldn't be across him, and that's Archie Roberts. So all the talk is Kako,
he's
Caddy.
been good.
Kako and Caddy is all the talk, rightly so. Like they're really hyped players, but Archie Roberts is a really dour halfback, can play a bit on the wing, but I think halfback's his natural position. He's been being given some of the best small forwards to play on. Like he went on Cozzy when we played Melbourne. I think he had passages where he was on Liam Ryan from West Coast and a couple of other their small forwards. Just real hard at it. One of those guys that you can kind of go, look, he won't lose too many one-on-ones, but he'll halve a lot of them, which is really good. And he's going to have he's probably going to be playing either Jamie Elliott or Bobby Hill on the weekend.
Big task,
Bobby probably burns him on pace as he does most players, but he's been really good for us. Got that dog in him, which we love.
We like that. Yeah.
And he's one to look out for because when he's got ball in hand, usually good things happen. Which can't always be said for Essendon defenders, but he's one to keep an eye on, I reckon.
Yeah, that would be a good one-on-one contest. I think looking at it from a Pies point of view, Ned Long, I'm sure you've heard his name pop up a little bit.
Yeah, so I was watching that. I looked at the stats in the Brisbane game. I'm like, who the hell's this guy? Who the hell's this guy? What's his story?
So he's come in, was on Hawthorn's list, played a couple of games there, got delisted, and was playing VFL footy for the Pies, and we were able to pick him up. Medicine SSP, and he built up from there, and have had to play him as the sub in a few games this year. But when he's been in our best 22, I mean, he's averaging almost 25 touches a game, real hard at it, in and under, tackling machine, and he's just been that like for Jordan De Goey when he hasn't been able to get his match fitness up. A stat I found last night, 6th in the competition for turning an effective clearance into a score.
That's good.
So he can...
Is he just an inside mid or does he roll forward? Okay.
No, absolutely.
Pure inside mid.
He has hit the scoreboard a couple of times this year, but no, a pure inside midfielder that has allowed the likes of Dacos and even Pendlebury and Sidebottom to get involved in different facets of the game. So I think in these conditions that are likely to come on Friday night, I think Ned Long can stand up to the pressure.
Yeah, he's he sounds a bit like what Will Setterfield does for us when he's fit.
Yeah.
He's just, he's the big in and under player. Like Setterfield was leading the club for tackles, I'm fairly sure, even though he's played 2 games, something like that. Just a real ferocious inside mid. And look, we're a much better side when he's fit and able to play. It's just unfortunate that usually you get a month out of him and then he's injured and then you don't see him for 2 months and then he's back for a couple of weeks.
For a former Carlton player, I actually don't mind.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's really good. Do you guys tag?
I don't think we do. We trialled it with Sidebottom at the back end of last year and it sort of got him into form, but I don't feel like that's our go. We're much more tactically sound in terms of getting our team defence set up and ensuring that you're not using the corridor, or if you are, you're going to run into a few pies plays in between. But we don't usually like to tag. I don't think many sides do unless they're playing a Nick Dacos, so I'm fully expecting some attention going into him.
Yeah, I think, I don't think it would be a tag where he's running with him or in the ground, but I could see a scenario where Sam Durham sort of goes to him at the contest. Yeah. He's obviously someone who's real ferocious at the ball, very good at, winning it in tight. But where Nick just kills you and kills everyone is just these abilities to run all day. Yeah. It's like, oh, well and good. All right, I've got him here at the stoppage, but 2 minutes later, he's there, he's up, he's back, and he's just going to get involved. Yeah. Which makes him such an incredibly hard matchup. So, yeah, at a stoppage, I can see a scenario where it's Durham, knowing that Caldwell's not going to be there. I think you'll probably see a Durham there.
Yep.
Sounds like Setterfield might go head to head with this with Ned Long. Dylan Shield run through there, but he's obviously not.
What's the deal with Dylan Shield? Because I feel like has had a terrific month so far.
It's been great.
I mean, I know that he can still be a bit ineffective with his disposal, but beside the point, he's getting a lot of the footy, and he's been playing some excellent footy, despite the fact that I heard at times, he was dropped to the VFL a couple of times last year, and you weren't sure if he was in your best lineup, but he seems to be one of your standouts each week. Yeah,
I think he was battling some injury problems through 2023, and then a little bit of last year. At the start of the season, he was lining up at half back because we had Caldwell in there, Sardis was in there. I think I'm missing someone else who's in that midfield group. But obviously Parrish hasn't played either. But it was all right, we're going to be putting time and effort into this young midfield. They're our future. Yep. We're going to play your half back. He was dreadful off cross half back. But then some injuries. Sardis breaks his hand. Caldwell does his hammy, comes back into his natural position. Oh, lo and behold, he plays really well. He's not as explosive as he probably was 5 years ago. But he can still burst away, still getting involved. Again, very big and strong, which helps. He's been good. He's been really good. I put out a sort of post to the Sash audience saying, do you think Dylan Shield will stay on next year? And maybe it's people being a bit recency biased, but the majority of the comments were like, oh, absolutely, we got to keep him next year. And I was like, I was actually kind of surprised by that. We shopped him around. He was shopped around.
Oh yeah, no,
there wasn't any takers.
But for a young side, having his experience would be pretty important too.
Definitely, and I think he's become a bit of an unofficial leader. He's not in the leadership group, but he would definitely be doing a lot of work with the younger guys. And look, he'll be a free agent end of this year, so. If we don't want him, I'm sure someone else will. But right now, he's super important for our side because you need these guys doing the dirty work. So it means that you can let Zach Merritt be Zach Merritt because that's the thing. Obviously you've got Nick Dacos, we've got Zach Merritt. They're two guys. It's well, if you let them go, they're just going to kill you. So how do you manage them? Because both of these players are capable of having 30 plus and several goals to their name and can turn a game. You've got to do something. Zach was pretty poor against West Coast, but leading into that, he was phenomenal.
He's been good for my super coach.
Yeah, he gets forward a lot more. So you might see is that him and Gresham will kind of do this interchange thing where Merritt might start in the middle, but then he'll push forward. Gresham might come up a little bit. And
is he fit, by the way?
Gresham? Yeah, he's fit. He got he just got cleaned up by Liam Baker. Well, not cleaned up, towelled up by Baker over the weekend. I'm not sure which of your sort of halfbacks would go to him, but it's been good. We've been able to get Merritt close to the goal. He's getting on the score sheet, as well as just being that deadly assist player that he is.
Yeah.
And he's always someone who can turn a game.
Oh, certainly is. We are known historically for letting your prime midfielders get lots of disposals. Darcy Parish is a case in point, and I'm very glad that he's not playing for Friday, just on the pure sense that he's someone that towers us up pretty easily. I mean, I don't feel like we're a team that puts a lot of attention into individuals, particularly in the midfield. My concern is more about ensuring that our team defence stacks up against your forward line, which with Peter Wright coming into this match in pretty good form is something we need to keep an eye out for. It looks like Billy's going to get the task on him, and I don't know if he's got the athleticism to stay with him for a full 4 quarters, and hopefully that's where Darcy Moore and Jeremy Howe come in and apply that extra support. But you've also got Nate Caddy in there that we need to keep an eye out for, because he's someone that I feel like, if not now, certainly soon, will really rise up to those big occasions.
Yeah, exactly. He's funny. He reminds me of a very young Jack Riewoldt in that he will jump at everything. He won't get a lot of it, but he really, really puts the effort in. It's just when you're a young key forward, your second year, you're 19, and you're often lining up on someone who's 10 plus years in the season, in the system. Going to be hard. Yeah. So whether that's Howe or whether that's Darcy Moore, going to be pretty hard for him. And then our sort of whoever's playing the sort of third tall, like I guess it's probably Archie Perkins at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think Langford will play. There was word that maybe he's fit, but I don't expect him to be in the side.
Okay.
I'm just having a look at
because I think
else it could possibly be.
It was a hamstring for Langford, wasn't it? He was missing a few weeks.
Yeah, Langford hamstring. So it's like, I mean, Harrison Jones potentially, but he kind of floats off a wing, and he kind of gets you spreading wide. And then it's smaller guys. Like then it's Kako, it's Gresham, and it's Menzies. And I'm a firm believer, particularly off what we learnt last year, that Essendon is a better side when we play 3 bona fide smalls.
Okay.
Because we've had times where we've just had a giant forward line, and it goes in, and then it comes straight back out. But you kind of back that between Kako, Gresham and Menzies, someone might lay a tackle.
You'd hope so. Yep. But I just think that with it being a wet weather game, and I know I keep referring to it, but I know that can have such a massive impact. I feel like that's where your smalls can come in and attack. I don't think our smaller defenders have been promising this year. I mean, they've been okay. Josh Dacos has come on halfback and he's improved his disposal efficiency as a result. But I think Isaac Quainer and Braden Maynard, as good as they've been in recent years, I think they've been pretty quiet this year. And I'm a little concerned that a Kako can get the better of them in a match like this. So I'm just really ensuring that we allow for that ball to hit the ground, and we need to be on, because we're not someone that likes to get a lot of numbers at the feet of defensive tools. I don't know what it is, but we run it out pretty well when we do get the footy in our hand, but I'm just not sure if that's something we need to be keeping a particular eye on. If you guys win plenty of clearances, which I know that you can at times.
I think that's it. Like if Essendon wins this game, I think it's built off forward pressure. If that's just going to happen, because you spoke about a couple of guys there, Quaynor and Maynard, who on their day are amazing players, but might not have been, at their best so far.
Yep.
And then from what I've watched of you guys, like Josh Dacos is a very attacking halfback. When he's got the ball, great. But
starting to run too.
But he will let a lot of forwards get out in space. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, if there's a man who loves a cheap goal, it's Jay Gresham. He loves if there's a cheap goal to be had, Gresh will be there. He will be there for that. So I find that to be an interesting one. I guess I'm interested to see what we do with our defenders, because we're running 3 talls at the moment.
Who would you like to see Ben Mackay on?
So it's a hard one. I guess maybe Membry, if he's playing. I guess it's whoever's playing deep is generally who you want. But Mackay at times has been beaten by the smaller, more mobile forward. So he couldn't run with Georgiades. He couldn't go with Waterman. And then it's like, okay, but then you've also got Reid, who's a big guy. And then you've got Ridley. It's hard to know. So, look, I think it's probably Mackay to Myercheck, and then probably a Reid or a Ridley to Membry.
Okay.
And then, if a ruckman floats forward, then the other one can sort of help out, I guess.
Yeah, that's my concern, to be honest. I don't like the ruckmans rolling forward.
Yeah.
Darcy Cameron does it so well for us, but when it comes the other way, I'm not sure. I mean, Yeah, I think having this 3 tall prolonged attack has been outstanding this year, and I think they've kicked already close to 30 goals between them to start the season. So
Yep.
They've been outstanding, clinical, and they don't have to be kicking goals. They're getting involved.
Yep.
They're allowing others to get involved in the match. They're playing further up the ground, taking really important contested marks, whether that's a McStay or a Mycheck. I think Mycheck's playing some of his best footy all season, and that's because we're not relying on him being our number one tall for the first time in what is it, half a decade. So
He's done so well. Like, I think he's definitely one of the most underrated forwards in the game.
Works so hard. He's just a machine. You should, if you ISO viewed him inside 50 in a match, the amount of times he's running from one end to the other inside attacking 50, it's incredible.
Was it last year that he kicked 4 behinds or whatever it was in that game?
Oh, was it?
Was it last season?
I think it might
the
have
draw.
been.
Yeah,
It might have been.
Like, I remember everyone being like, "Oh, Langford." Like, look, we should have won, but.
Yes.
Looking back, I'm like, gee, Brody Mycheck could have put this game away a long time ago.
Yeah. He at the moment, unfortunately for Brody, it is 0-4 or 4-1.
Ooh.
So I don't know which one. Don't know which one you're going to get.
That makes me feel good.
If I don't think he's, for example, against Carlton, he had Jack Silvani on him, and he should have kicked 6.
Yeah, right.
And he kicked, I think, 0-3. So
I didn't even realise Jack Silvani was playing.
I was licking my lips. Trust me, that's one matchup I would have loved to see. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's going to make for an interesting contest.
We've got to finish up because there's another recording coming in. But can I just get your predictions? Give me. We'll skip. We'll just skip the result.
I think we know it. Yeah.
I know what you're going to tip for your result. Give me your best on and your most goals for either team.
All right, sure. I think our best on. I genuinely think. Look. Nick's going to be the obvious answer, and I'll steer clear of him because it's just too obvious and a bit boring. I think Ned Long.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
if it's going to be a wet contested contest, I think he can stand up and have another breakout performance. As I said, he's averaging close to 25 touches a game, 6 clearances, 6 tackles, and he has made that position his own. I assume Dacos gets some attention, allow someone like Ned to open up. I think Steele Sidebottom can also play a role where he is finishing with a Anzac Day medal because he's been playing some phenomenal football. So, yeah, I think I'll go Ned. I'd love to see him get reward for effort, even more so for the role that he's been playing over the last month. And most goals, it's funny because we've got 70 to choose from for once. I'm not picking Mycheck like I am just about every year.
Yeah. You can pin Essendon player if you want.
Oh, no, I won't. I don't think so. I'll go Membry. I'll back that he actually gets picked first and foremost.
Okay.
And then I think I'd like to see Tim Membry. I think he might get the least attention out of the 3 talls. And as I've said before, he's got an amazing footy IQ, just knows where the goals are. And when he does get on board early and gets that confidence up, I think he can be someone that can have an immediate impact, and it's his first Anzac Day for the club, so he'll really relish it.
I like it. Best. Actually, I'll do most goals. I'm going to go most goals. Jay Gresham. I reckon he's just going to get a lot of. Just he's going to expose Josh Dacos for not defending very hard, and I think he could kick 3 goals.
Yep.
But I'm going to pick a Pies player for best on because as much as I'd love the old goal to wind the clock back, I do think Darcy Cameron might be too dominant. So
fair enough.
That's my honest opinion. I'd happily give you a one-eyed opinion, but yeah, I'm going to go.
Give me one anyway.
A one-eyed opinion. Goldstein's going to wind the clock back and win the Anzac Day medal. There you go.
Oh, it's going to be a very somber pod next week.
He'll have 30 hit-outs, 25 disposals, couple of goals.
Oh, yikes. We can't.
You'll think he's 26 and not 36.
Can't let that happen, please. No. Give me Paddy Ryder.
Easy, yeah, exactly. It's a bit of that anyway. All right, good stuff. See you, mate.
Thanks.